What's up, everyone? We're back one more time to talk even more about what we expect in 2019. But this time we're using questions submitted from all of you to answer whatever you want, basically. I've got over 50 questions here, so we're going to go for about an hour, so we'll see how many, however many we can get through in that time. We're joined by John and Derek to help me out here, and yeah, let's just get to it. So right off the bat is a big one from Cole Waston, who asks, Switch Pro? And we had a lot of people asking this one. So this is a big question. Do you guys think we're going to get any kind of Switch this year? Whether it be a Switch Pro, Switch XL, Switch Mini, as another commenter asked, being Melody 2.0. Do you think we're going to get a second SKU this year, or perhaps more?
I do think we'll get a second SKU, but whether it's Switch Pro, I'm not really sure. I think we're more likely to get a handheld-only unit, mostly because Pokemon's this year, and so's Animal Crossing, and those are like family-friendly franchises, so I think it makes more sense to get the Switch as cheap as possible, rather than as expensive as possible with a Switch Pro.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were going to go for it or not, because I could see it happening, but you saying it might go for the mini route or a portable focused Switch makes a lot of sense, especially from the comments from the Pokemon producer, where they said that Gen 8 is going to be focused more on the handheld aspects of the series, so more traditional. So I can see that tying into Pokemon really well, and really just focusing on the handheld, and as you said, Animal Crossing as well. I think that might be the best case scenario, or the more likely option, I guess is the better way to put it. And yeah, the thing is, I probably wouldn't pick it up though, since I already have a Switch. A Switch Pro is the thing that would actually maybe get me to buy another system.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in any version of the Switch, but a Switch Pro. But hey, maybe Nintendo will prove me wrong. I think there will be a second version. If not this year, then definitely very early next year, perhaps in the same time frame that the original Switch released, being by March. But I am expecting one basically within the next year at some point. And if I had to guess, I think they may go either the XL or the Pro route, because I don't know how much smaller they can really make it without compromising what the Switch is. And with that second model, I think they could reduce the price of the first one, making it more accessible to people picking up for Animal Crossing or Pokemon, for instance, to children, basically. So I think that may be how they go about that, but we'll see.
That could be, but the thing with the other aspect of going more the handheld route is they could start doing the different versions, like, oh, here's a Pokemon Special Edition, here's an Animal Crossing Special Edition, and they've kind of started doing that with some of the Switches, but definitely not as often as they did with the 3DS. So I can sort of see them seeing this as an opportunity to have those special editions that get people like, well, now I need this version because it has this cool looking Gen 8 artwork or Animal Crossing artwork. Like, who doesn't want to have Isabelle hanging out on your Switch?
Well, we did have Smash ones. We had a Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee, and then we had a Doom 3 one as well. So we've actually had a fair amount this past year. Yeah,
we did. They did start coming around towards the end, but maybe I think it's just more likely for a handheld version. But I could be completely wrong. It's entirely possible. It's been known to happen.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. But it sounds like we all think there will be at least some kind of revision coming this year, or if not soon after. All right, I've got a question here from, this is an odd name, from Andrew Cigars, who asks, is there going to be an N64 Classic this year?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. It's strange because we didn't have anything at all last year, and it feels like the last couple of years we've had a mini system every year. So you had the NES Mini, the Super Nintendo Mini, so we just kind of assumed that the N64 Mini would follow last year, but it didn't. And yeah, I do kind of feel like it's still coming though, and maybe the reason it didn't come is because they're trying to sort out all those Rare games. Because what is the N64 without Rare? If they're able to get GoldenEye on that system, then that is a huge get. If they were to get Perfect Dark on the system, that's a huge get. But if they don't have Banjo-Kazooie or all those Rare games, then I think an N64 Classic just kind of feels like a wasted opportunity. So if that was the reason, then I fully understand. But I feel like now's the right time. So this year, I do feel like there will be an N64 Mini.
I think they could make a good N64 Mini or Classic without Rare, but I think you need Rare in order to have a great system. I think that's the big difference. Because I can name off enough games without the Rare stamp on it that would still be very well. And they still have access, of course, to Donkey Kong 64, which I'm sure everybody can't wait to replay again, because that's everybody's favorite 3D collectathon platformer. But I still think there's enough of a strong lineup between Zelda and Mario and Kirby and F-Zero and all these other franchises that they could make it work. But I'm also interested in 3D or third-party games, like what we would see. Like, would Konami offer up one of the Castlevania 64s? Would Square Enix offer up, like, Mischief Makers or something like that? Or Ogre Battle to mix up some of the RPG stuff? Like, there's some interesting questions you can have about what might show up here. I'm hoping for Pokemon Puzzle League, personally, so we can have more, panel to pawn.
I hope so. And seeing as the PlayStation Classic got Rayman 1, I guess it would make sense for the N64 Classic to get Rayman 2.
Yeah, that'd be a great choice, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think the N64 had one of the better versions of it too, as I recall. So, yeah, that'd be great. Especially because I never played it and I want to. So, Derek, you think we'll get an N64 Classic then versus any other classic system? Like a Game Boy, for instance?
Yeah, I've seen people suggest the idea of like a Game Boy Classic, but I have a feeling they're probably going to go more towards their console lineup for now. That whole idea. Maybe they'll go for the Game Boy Classic, but again, the problem with that is we got to figure out, getting it on a TV or something like that. Like, I'm not quite sure how they would reconcile the idea of a Game Boy Classic. You know what I mean?
The form factor's tricky though with Game Boy Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess the best case scenario is they kind of switch it. Like, make like a dock that you put your Game Boy into, so you can play it on both your TV and on the go. But maybe that's a bit too, much of an investment for just a novelty handheld.
Maybe they could reuse a Switch dock.
I guess they could. It might be a bit too thick for that. I'm not sure. I also don't know what route they'll take with Game Boy. Like, would they just give us the monochrome green and black color scheme, or would it be a Game Boy Color? Like, what would you go for if you're going to re-release the Game Boy?
Probably Color. That way you have the lineup of Game Boy Color games as well, because a lot of the Game Boy games, there aren't a lot of original titles. It's mostly just, here's an adaptation of this game that was also on the NES, but now you have it portable, which was enough back in the day, but nowadays, not so much.
I mean, Donkey Kong 94 is all you need.
That's true.
True, yeah. 94 and Kirby's Dream Land 2. We're good.
Yeah, I think we'll get both eventually, a Game Boy Classic, if not several, and the N64 Classic. And I think the N64 one probably would come first. So here's hoping that happens this holiday. I think it's definitely possible, even if Nintendo, I think they said they had no plans to, but that means absolutely nothing. So, and plus it'd be pretty fun to show Sony how you do it. Do it right.
Well, they've shown it twice now. I'm pretty sure you can get a pretty awesome N64 lineup. The great thing about the N64, unlike the SNES, is that because there were, a modest amount of hits, we can actually get all the big ones, if we can get Rare in there, onto this Classic, and you basically have the essentials of the N64.
Yep, and it would be just a great multiplayer machine. There's tons of great multiplayer games, whereas the other classic systems haven't really focused on that. It would mean buying more controllers, though, which I'm sure Nintendo loves. So that's another reason why we'll get N64 Classic, I think. Mm-hmm. Here's hoping. Moving on, a question from Christium Network asks, what will be the biggest game pushed on the Switch in 2019? Meaning, what big title will be in the spotlight? So what do you guys think? What's going to be Nintendo's big focus this year?
I think it's got to be Pokemon. Pokemon is basically Nintendo's best-selling franchise, or at least one of them. I think the 3DS, sorry, the 3DS goes Mario Kart 7, and then there's 3 Pokemon titles. There's like X and Y, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Sun and Moon. So Pokemon has a record of basically being the best-selling franchise, or high up there. And I don't think they're going to squander this, because Let's Go sold well, but this is a new generation of Pokemon, and they always do outstandingly well. Not just as software, but they push hardware too. So I think they're going to focus hard on Pokemon. And, this is technically the first console game. Because yeah, Let's Go was a console game, but it clearly had the roots of Sun and Moon in there. Whereas this is built from the ground up for a console. I can see them having like a 3D camera, I can see them working the world in full 3D. So this is going to be big, I think. So yeah, definitely Pokemon for me.
I don't think so. I think that's mainly handled by Pokemon Company. Nintendo will definitely try to push it as much as possible, but I can't see it being the thing they're always talking about, kind of like what Smash was this past year, or Mario Odyssey was, where it was always that was the limelight for them. I see, honestly, for the first half of the year, probably Animal Crossing, and then for the second half of the year, if we're getting Metroid Prime 4, that'll be the one. Like, I think them wanting to give that big push to Metroid, finally get it from to this A-list, because Metroid is a well-beloved series, but it's never sold the best. So I think trying to get that push there to get it into the A-list rather than just be a B-tier franchise might be a big goal of Nintendo's.
True. Also, just another point. Over the last 2 years, we actually didn't know we didn't know the existence of that year's big game. So this time in 2017, we didn't know what Mario Odyssey was, and that launched in 2017. We didn't know what Smash was this time last year, and that launched last year. So I guess an exciting thing to say is basically we might not even know what the big game is this year yet.
Star Fox Grand Prix. Count on
baby.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We actually don't know what their big game could be. It could be any number of things. But based on what we know right now, I am leaning toward Derek in the sense I think Animal Crossing will be a big draw. We don't even know when that's coming out for sure yet, so that could be even a early, fall release perhaps, in which case they have most of the year to kind of build up to it. And I think Metroid Prime will be also a big one, but if I had to choose between the two, I do think Animal Crossing will probably get more attention than Metroid Prime will from Nintendo, just because Metroid has been more of a niche franchise over the years, whereas Animal Crossing can reach like literally everyone. So. Alright, here's another similar question, but different. Charlie Judge asks, what do you think is the most anticipated game of 2019? For Nintendo, of course. Right?
Yeah, that's a tough one, huh?
It's a bit different.
Yeah, that's a different question, I think. Yeah, I'd say it's probably... I've seen a lot of anticipation for Animal Crossing over the New Year period. And I do feel like that's what a lot of people are looking forward to. Because it's been a long time since New Leaf, whereas Pokemon is almost annual at this point. So I feel like a new Animal Crossing game is an event. And, Pokemon is an event too, but this is just, like, it's an event for a console rather than an event for a year. So I feel like Animal Crossing is the more impactful choice.
I'd have to agree. I think it is going to be Animal Crossing. Like, people are obviously going to be excited for Pokemon, but we don't have anything concrete about it yet. So I think the expectations are still a little bit tempered. Whereas Animal Crossing, people just want Animal Crossing. They just give them a new Animal Crossing, they'll be happy, and I think that excitement just carries over throughout it. So I think Animal Crossing actually takes the most anticipated title.
It's been half a decade since the last Animal Crossing, and a full decade since the last console Animal Crossing.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I know, it's pretty nuts. So I would agree with that. I think Animal Crossing is probably going to be the kind of big one here. Although it is, it's weird because it's not... it's not a game that excites you in the typical way, right? It's not like a big action-focused, like, space-faring extravaganza. It's a low-key, town-based simulator where you go fishing and talk to your villagers, so...
Right. And I feel like if we have this discussion again in a few months, we might be saying Metroid Prime 4. And I feel like we're not because we haven't seen Metroid Prime 4. And I'm still kind of worried about that game.
That is a great point. Nintendo could position Metroid Prime 4 in such a way that it will garner more attention than it normally would. And not to downplay it, Metroid Prime, Metroid usually does garner attention, but it is on a smaller scale than their bigger IPs. But this could be the exception. Look at Zelda and how well that's done on a worldwide basis compared to how it normally has. I think in Japan, it blew past all previous Zelda records, resonating with them more than it had in past installments. So Metroid could do something similar. So we'll find out. Dylan Lawrence asks, with a large number of first-party games we already know about that are heading for the Switch in 2019, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Luigi's Mansion 3, etc., do you think Nintendo has many unannounced titles to surprise us with for the coming year? So I know we just kind of touched on that, but yes, I think we have a fair amount coming that we don't know about. As John as you kind of already touched on a little bit.
Yeah, what's surprising here is what we already know about. Like, I think we're going to have the same amount of surprises, if not more, this year than we have in past years. It's just we so happen to know quite a bit more now because they got announced early, but they haven't released yet. So I have a feeling there's going to be quite a few games that will get announced and released this year.
And that's just how Nintendo work. They generally announce games months before they come out rather than years. But it just happens that for some reason there's like 4 big games this year that they announced years in advance. It's a weird outlier, but that's not usually how they operate.
Luca asks, do you think the Star Fox racing game is real? And if so, do you expect it to come out in 2019?
Yeah, I do. We've kind of said before, like, this is a weird rumor because there's nothing really substantial for why it should be real, but I just feel like it is real. And we still don't know what Retro's game is, so it's plausible. And yeah, I feel like it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes sense to try something different with Star Fox and go weird with it and see what they might try. And I think a racing game works. I think there's a lot of potential. Like when we first talked about it, we threw out all kinds of ideas that made the idea of a Star Fox racing game fun and different and still unique enough that it doesn't sort of take over F-Zero, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I'm not 100% sure if it actually is real. I think it probably is, and if so, or in either case, I think Retro's game will be hitting this year. But I do hope it's real because it seems to be a very exciting game. But yeah, I'm leaning toward it being definitely real. I'm just not 100% sure yet. Like, it could be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, it never existed. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. All right, Sans is asking, are we getting a January Direct this time? I think unquestionably.
When haven't we got a January Direct?
Yeah. It's just a matter of time.
I'm pretty sure the last 6 years we've had a January Direct, so yeah, I can say with certainty we most of well, yeah, I'll say 100% we are.
So the current rumor going around is January 10th. Do you think that's a likely date for it?
From my understanding, NCL aren't in office until the end of this week, so basically any time from the 7th until the end of the month is a plausible date.
Yeah.
And I think last year it was like the 14th or something like that, so the 10th sounds possible, yeah.
I mean, it's a plausible date enough, and I don't know if there's anything that points to it directly, but yeah. But I mean, it's a date that works because I think Thursday makes sense. They often do a lot of directs on Thursday, so yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, yeah, that kind of makes it easy. Just throw out any date and make it seem plausible. It's in January and is on the Thursday. It's really all you need. So. All right, well, maybe somewhat related. Silver Wolf asks, do you think there will finally be some news on Fire Emblem Three Houses? It's been about 6 months since we last heard about it at E3.
Yes, but I'm not sure if we'll see it at this direct. Maybe.
I think we will.
I can see them tossing out at least a little
be
something
out soon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd think we'd hear about it soon. Like Fire Emblems, most of the time they usually launch around May, April, but I could see this one coming a bit later in the year. But I'd predict around May.
Hey, I don't know if you guys heard this. My Google Home replied for some reason and said, I will keep my eyes open. So clearly she thinks it's coming. Yeah.
There you go. That's official.
Right.
That's all we need
Google
right here.
knows something, so there we go. But no, you're right. I mean, it does make sense. It's just so weird that we haven't... I guess I'm so used to not getting information on Three Houses that it's weird to me that we might... By the way, it's January. Here's some information on Three Houses. But I'd love to see more about it, like what changes there are, what characters they have to introduce, because I think it is time to start building hype for that game.
Yeah, I think the January Direct is at the very least going to bring us some big news on Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem Three Houses. So both of which they need to start promoting, I would think, pretty soon. So
Right.
All right, Ultra Master 15 asks, do you think SNES games are going to come to the Switch in 2019?
God, I hope so.
Please.
I'll say yeah. NES games are not exciting, and I think Nintendo know that. And we don't even know what the NES games are for this month. So I feel like they're not even really on top of what of the NES games, because last time they announced the entire lineup of NES games months in advance, and it feels like now they're just kind of throwing them out there. So I'd say, yeah, Super Nintendo games I would make it more exciting, and I think they know that too.
Maybe we'll get SNES games this month since they know it's a bust and it was just like, all right, yeah, we know it didn't work, and the reason we didn't reveal it, by the way, here's some SNES games. And that's exciting because there's a lot of like the online multiplayer could actually mean something with the SNES.
Yeah, Super Mario Kart Online would be awesome.
It'd be so great. I really want that. I want that battle mode, man.
I mean, the three of us could play Secret of Mana.
Oh yeah,
we actually could, which you couldn't even do on the
cool.
on the SNES Classic because it was only 2-player in that version.
Right.
And I don't think you could even do that on the PS4 remake online.
Wow, we could have the definitive version of Secret of Mana then.
There you go.
Something like that.
All right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think we actually will get SNES games this year because they announced it at the January event last year, or 2 years ago now. I think it's time, so give them to us, Nintendo. Joey Ferris asks, Will this be the year we see Metroid Prime 4, or will that wait until 2020? Metroid Prime Trilogy HD for 2019, and then they're asking, or could we get Metroid Prime Trilogy HD for 2019 instead?
I think we'll see Prime 4 this year. Whether it will launch this year, though, is that's another question. I do think Prime Trilogy makes sense as a buffer title, though. Just to release it maybe at the start of the year, and then have Prime 4 either come at the end or early next year. Kind of similar to what happened with Bayonetta, where we got Bayonetta 1 and 2 early last year, and well, Bayonetta 3 still isn't anywhere to be seen, but at least, Bayonetta 1 and 2 kind of, it refreshed our memory of the series, so I think that's a good idea. Prime Trilogy
I'm like,
now.
did Bayonetta 3 come out and I just somehow missed it completely?
No, I didn't know where I was going. I was like,
Yeah. I will say, February does make sense to me for Metroid Prime Trilogy HD, that's what they call it, because there's currently nothing coming out in February on the Switch as far as first party is concerned or anything like that. Or really, not much is coming out in general that month. It's all stacked in January, so I think February is a perfect time for it.
That's exciting, man. You're predicting that we're gonna have a new game next month.
Not a new game, 3 new games,
3.
John.
Yeah.
That would be pretty killer. I do think we'll be seeing Trilogy early in the year. Metroid Prime 4, I'm not 100% sure will be this year, but I think there's a very likely chance that they're aiming to get it out this year. I'd be a little bit surprised if it misses this year. So, but yeah, it's always possible it could slip into early next year, as I think John was saying. But I am thinking that it will be announced for this year, and we'll see it at E3, if not sooner. So, let's see here. We have a question from EPM101 who asks, what do you think Nintendo would do with Amiibo in 2019?
I mean, we'll get the rest of the Smash Ultimate series, the newcomers.
That's
all
true.
those.
That's a good point.
Otherwise, I could see some more Amiibo for like Metroid Prime, or hey, maybe they'll bring back the Animal Crossing Amiibo cards for the new game. As for new ones, I'm not sure.
I think we're going to see something like we saw this year, but I mean, in that we're not going to see too much of Amiibo. It feels like Nintendo's kind of ramping it down. The fact that Smash Brothers barely put an emphasis on them when it was a premier title for Amiibo originally, I think says a lot. So I think we will see new Amiibo. It will be reduced in number. They won't be nearly as central to games as they were before, which really wasn't even that central. But it really does feel like they're kind of like downplaying Amiibo now. I think even I think Nintendo realizes that Toys of Life is kind of dead as a concept, and I think people will keep buying Amiibo in a small number, but I think the days of like there being dozens and dozens of them are long behind us.
I think Detective Pikachu will come to Switch, and if you go and see it in the cinema or in theaters, you will get a Detective Pikachu Amiibo card, and you can scan it in your game and do whatever the giant Amiibo did in the 3DS game.
Oh, interesting
I can't
idea.
remember what was the functionality for that.
I think it gave you hints or clues or statements or something like that. It unlocked something, but it was very minor.
There you go. That's what it will do.
Actually, I think going the card route may not be a bad idea. It'd be a kind of cheap, economical way of maybe doing some more interesting stuff with games. Maybe you can, almost have like a trading card game for Switch or something. What I wanted to see, which is only kind of barely Amiibo related, but like what would be neat is if they made an Amiibo type thing, or maybe like a keychain type thing. They can save your like Smash profile to. So when I can go to my friend's place, I can just tap and load my Smash profile, like my name, my controller settings, and all that, without having to readjust it every time. It'd be cool to do that on a per Switch basis, where you can save like any key game settings you want to this little keychain and use it on your friend's Switches.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, I'd love that. Actually, another functionality we haven't actually talked about is Crafted World. I think that game's gonna have Amiibo. Kind of similar to what the Yarn Yoshi Amiibo are like. But maybe like you make your own crafted Yoshi Amiibo and just sort of put the chip inside of it.
That'd be pretty wild.
I think we touched on that before in the discussion.
Have.
I think that would be brilliant. But that actually would be a really cool use of the of Amiibo, but also the idea of this being a game that's crafted, right? Maybe they could roll in like Blabo in some way. You're making your own cardboard Yoshi, for instance, and that's an Amiibo.
Perfect. I mean, I know it would get John excited for Amiibo for when the Resident Evil 4 port comes out. Get a Leon or the Chainsaw Guy Amiibo.
Or the dog. And whenever you tap the dog in, the dog will just join you all the time throughout the entire
Oh my god. That would be brilliant. That would be just like in Breath of the Wild, actually.
Right. And you can put them in Breath of the Wild too.
Hey, there you go.
Perfect.
I like this. Nice. Alright, Smash Ultimate Saiyan asks, what do you think we'll see in terms of more third-party devs using Nintendo IPs in 2019? Will we see Ubisoft's next Nintendo project, a new Warriors game with another Nintendo IP, a Lego Nintendo game? Give your thoughts. So what do you guys think?
The return of the Pokemon, the strategy game between...
Pokemon Conquest?
Conquest, that's it. New Pokemon Conquest. No, I have no idea. A new Warriors game is like the safest bet.
Yeah, it kind of is. But it also feels like too much, but I feel like it was too much before, so that might not mean anything.
Yeah, like Fire Emblem kind of fizzled, but that was just because of the character choices. I fully believe that, because it was ostensibly a better game. But as far as like a new Nintendo franchise, I still think Kirby would be fun, or something to that effect.
I still want Pikmin Warriors, where you play as a Bulborb.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah, I think Ubisoft is also kind of a safe bet, because it feels like every year now they've had a Nintendo collaboration. They have Mario and Rabbids, you have Starlink. This time, though, I wonder what they'll do. There's been rumours of an Assassin's Creed game coming to Switch, with some listings of collections. So I wonder if they'll maybe put, like, Sheik in Assassin's Creed or something like that.
No, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another crossover game of that nature, so... It's kind of dipping back into the pool that we saw on the GameCube, where we had, like, Link and Soul Calibur and Mario and the NBA Streets game, I think. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I do think Ubisoft is the most likely candidate, but we may even see more than one. Yeah, as for what it could be, like, I do hope it's something new. I don't think we'll see another Mario Rabbids sequel quite yet. But yeah, like, another kind of crossover game would be fun. I'm trying to think of, like, what kind of crossovers we could see, or...
I do want to see the Mario Rabbids team take on a different franchise, though. Because Donkey Kong Adventure last year was unique. Like, I know it's DLC for Mario Rabbids, but it felt like a new franchise. And if they, like, I don't know, they put like a new IP in there, maybe do like a Fire Emblem kind of take on that, because it's already kind of a strategy game. But maybe like take these characters and put them in like more like real-time action settings.
That's how you get your 3D Kirby game. You make a Kirby. Yeah, Kingdom Warriors, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, find somebody to make a Kirby RPG. I just want it.
Yeah.
I'm having difficulty saying which third-party devs might use the Nintendo IP. I mean, maybe Doom Eternal will come with a Samus skin, which would be pretty dang wild.
That would be. Alright, let's move on to Owen Starling, who asks, Pokemon Switch predictions. Will it have a movable camera?
Yes.
I think yeah. The reason Let's Go didn't was because you play that game with a single Joy-Con. And the actual world design was made for the Game Boy. So I think with Gen 8, because they're building it from scratch for a console, they're going to be making the full world in full HD. And I don't think there's much excuse for not having full camera control. Because like when you look at the 3DS games, there were some towns and cities where you could roam around and sort of move the camera a little bit, but you don't have much like free reign over it. And I think they can actually make those towns a bit more elaborate now with a free roaming camera. So it makes sense, I think.
It makes sense. Like, the funny thing is like, I imagine this, how they expand the world, make a 3D camera worth it and all that, but then I think Game Freak and wonder if, like, maybe they'll keep it modest, because, you know, Pokemon has never been the most visually impressive game series out there, so I want to say yes. I'm hoping yes, but I could also see them being just prettier top-down Pokemon RPG.
I'm going all in. I think we'll finally get a fully 3D camera with this one. So here's hoping I'm not wrong. All right. J-Man asks, do you think is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe the last Wii U port for the Nintendo Switch, or do you think there'll be more in the future?
Absolutely not.
Of course it's not. Yeah. There's still a lot of good Wii U games to choose from. There's Wonderful 101, there's Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater, Mario Maker, 3D World, and Pikmin 3. I mean, all
Tokyo
of those
Mirage
I think are quite likely to be
Xenoblade
ported.
Chronicles X.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance in hell we don't see 3D World at the least on the console. So.
And the thing is, with most Wii U games, you can take the gamepad away and lose nothing. So.
Pretty much.
Where's my
think it's
Wind
quite
Waker
likely.
HD? Which I don't know why I mentioned that, but that's one of the few games that actually use the gamepad quite well. So.
Still, I would like to see both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD on the Switch.
Or just one of them. Or just Wind Waker.
Oh, I knew you were throwing shades.
Yeah, I knew.
All right. Can Cakes asks, do you think Monolith Soft will reveal whatever new IP they've been working on?
That's hard to say. It seems like, I mean, we've had that concept art, and they were hiring people, and it's been a little while. I'm sure that's a different team. They are big enough that they can have separate teams. So I think it's possible. I don't think we're going to see it in the January Direct, but I can see that being revealed around E3, for example, or maybe before E3.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's too early or not. The Xenoblade Chronicles 2 team apparently started that game a little bit after X, which was 2015, I believe. So it's plausible for, another Monolith Soft team to have started development on this IP all the way back then. Yeah, I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say we're going to see it this year, but whether it will release this year, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think we'll see it. Probably won't release, though, is what I'll say. Hamada asks, what's more likely to be revealed, Odyssey DLC or an Odyssey sequel? And how will Mario Kart Tour be handled? Will it coincide with the Mario Kart 9 or a Kart 8 Deluxe update? So he got 2 questions in there for the price of one.
Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely Odyssey sequel. No way that we're getting... At this point, it's too late for an Odyssey DLC.
Yeah, I agree. Galaxy 2 is precedent for that. They can quite easily build a new game from scratch while having the framework of the first Odyssey game. I agree with you completely. Yeah, I think they can do a brand new game with new kingdoms, but still have the same base mechanics. Maybe something different though. Like what's the Yoshi for this game? What's going to be the big twist?
I mean, we said before Super Peach.
Oh yes, yeah. I guess that is the twist.
I think it could be. Yeah, we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but I think it could be almost a. Like, it could be treated in the same way that Torna is, like a sequel, but a smaller scale one, right? That wasn't a full scale, like, that wasn't as long as Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was.
No. It's basically a half entry.
Exactly. So I could see something of that nature, perhaps, for Odyssey 2.
I can see them having enough ideas from the planning phases of the original Odyssey to squeeze in another game.
Oh, they definitely have enough ideas. It's whether they had the time to put together all those ideas.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I can see something on the caliber of Galaxy 2 coming.
Were you finding me on this earlier? I swear to God, you were finding me on this idea in the previous discussion.
Maybe, but it's a new day. Things change. Opinions change. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough. I know. I'm just that convincing.
Yeah. As for Mario Kart Tour, this is something we also tried to work on the previous discussion, and I honestly don't know how they'll handle it. But I don't think it'll coincide with Mario Kart 9. I don't think we're going to get that for many a year. 8 Deluxe is still selling well. Like, it's still one of the best-selling Switch games. So I think they're going to hold off from Mario Kart 9 for a while.
I think I saw today, I'm not sure if this... I don't remember if this is accurate or not, but I swear I saw something that said that Mario Kart 8 sold better this year than it did last year.
I think you're right.
2018.
Yeah, in 2018.
You mean. That's kind of nuts, but it shows the how long the tail is on that series. So, yeah, so I don't think it'll coincide with a Mario Kart 9, but it is possible there could be a deluxe update. I wouldn't be shocked by that, especially with how many updates the game has gotten just to coincide with the Labo. Which is something very few seem to care about.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't shock me. However, I do have another question here from Insidious and NX, who asks, are there any plans for future Mario Kart titles on the Switch? So I think he's looking beyond 2019 even. He's asking about any games period, any Mario Kart games period on the Switch. And I think there absolutely will be. And I think there's a good chance Nintendo may take the opportunity to do something a little bit different with Mario Kart. Keep Mario Kart Deluxe as its own thing, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as its own thing, but maybe experiment, maybe with a Double Dash 2, I don't know, or maybe a more adventure-focused Mario Kart. But I'd be very surprised if we don't see another Mario Kart on the Switch by the end of its lifespan.
I don't know this question, because I feel like with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe being out there, it allows Nintendo to broaden their IP a bit more. So like we have the possible Star Fox Grand Prix. We could also get F-Zero, maybe. Probably not, but we could get F-Zero. We could get Wave Race. It feels like an opportunity to do more than Mario Kart. But at the same time, is 8 Deluxe enough for the entire generation? Like, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. And I think what Andre said there about being experimental with a new entry, that's exciting. So I kind of hope they do, but I'm not positive if they will.
I can totally see them putting a Mario Kart 9 on the system, because it's going to probably sell even better. People are excited for it. People love Mario Kart. It's always one of the top sellers on the system, and if they can get that kind of sales out of a port, an enhanced port, imagine what a new entry will do for that series, and get people all excited, especially if they go the one basic change that people have been asking for potentially is a Nintendo Kart rather than Mario Kart. and get the other Nintendo franchises in there in a cart setting. It's worked kind of well for Smash Brothers. Maybe it's time to try it out for Mario Kart, especially when, as you guys said, we already have Mario Kart 8 representing a regular entry to the series.
That might be the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the way forward. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has already kind of dipped its toe in that. Like, we have Animal Crossing characters, we have Zelda characters, and even the Inklings are in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels possible, and I think it makes more sense than having 2 Mario Karts on the same system.
Imagine third-party characters popping up. Like, I want the car from Daytona USA.
Oh yes,
There you go.
Driving a cart like what's his name does in Roger Rabbit when he drives the car.
Oh man. If we get Sonic in there, then it would be like Sonic's appearing in this crossover, but his own game has actually gotten rid of the crossover aspect.
Nice. And of course, I can finally maybe get my Stone Race FX cameo.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Sweet. Alright, let's move on to a question from Mitch Goodman, who asks, do you see any new game announcements, not ports, for the 3DS in 2019?
I see remakes, and I see ports. I don't see any new games, though.
I could see maybe one as just a here you go.
Like a small scale thing, yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe one.
Like another Dylan game, for instance.
Yeah, something small scale like that, or something to that caliber. Like nothing huge, but here's a Bone Kid.
Like, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw another Pokemon game, not a mainline one, but I wouldn't be shocked if we saw like some kind of weird Pokemon spin-off title in 2019 on the 3DS.
Yeah, people would be excited for a Mystery Dungeon game.
I think they'd be more excited for a Mystery Dungeon game on the Switch.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
That's the problem we're running into, is like any of these games that you might announce for the 3DS, why isn't that on Switch?
Exactly.
Especially if they're new.
Alright, Josh Kent asks, Mario Maker Switch when?
So, someone actually asked us this question on Twitter too. They said, how come you guys didn't predict Mario Maker for Switch this year? And the main reason for that is because there's a 2D Mario this year.
Exactly.
And it's coming out in a few days' time. So New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, I think, cancels out Mario Maker happening this year.
Unless they go full end of the year stuff like November, which I don't fully see. Maybe October.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think Mario will have the same tail that Mario Kart does. Like, it'll sell just as well during November as it will during its release month, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll see Mario Maker this year. I mean, I personally still want to see a Mario Maker or a Maker of some kind. I want Zelda Maker, so maybe that could happen this year.
Yeah.
Mario Maker? No, I don't think that's likely yet, so... Alright, Zaylok asks, seeing how Nintendo has finally released the last hint art and costume for Odyssey, what do you think... Oh, we actually already covered this question, so... Sorry, Zaylok. Or a similar question, I should say. Leo asks, do you think Miiverse or a similar system can come back?
No.
No.
I mean, theoretically, yes, but practically, no. I think it's dead for now, at least.
I think Twitter is Miiverse now for Nintendo. Like, when you
Yeah.
post screenshots from your Switch, they go to Twitter. They've just sort of... They've accepted that as the social media people use, and not Miiverse.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to do it, because Miiverse was just too self-contained. It was, it only really worked on the Wii U. You could access it on the computer, too, which I did do myself, because Wii U was impossible to load it on in a timely manner. But yeah, it wasn't great at reaching new people, so I think they'll stick with primary social media.
I mean, the other thing is people post a screenshot that blows up and becomes, I don't know, meme-worthy or whatever else. That's Nintendo's IP worldwide, not just consolidated to their own infrastructure. So it's
point.
also great for advertising.
I would still love them to see, though, incorporate like a proper Switch feed where it still used existing social media, but anything your friends posted using that through the Switch would pop up on an exclusive Switch feed. So you could see what Switch-related activities are happening that were also posted to social media.
It'd be cool just to be able to look at Twitter on the Switch.
Yeah, that too. That too.
I mean, we got YouTube and we got Hulu. Eventually we'll get the others.
Where's Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, here's it. Okay, this wasn't asked. Are we getting Netflix in 2019?
I hope so. I hope we're getting it soon.
I know.
It's so awkward. My PS4's in my living room now, because it used to be in my office, but it's very tough to watch Netflix in the living room, but without a console being in there. And if the Switch had it, it'd be so easy. I can just dock it in whenever I want to, but I just have to keep my PS4 in there. So I hope it does, because it'd be so convenient.
Yeah, I have my PS3 downstairs in my living room so I could have Netflix on the TV because I bought an extra Switch dock so I could easily bring it down and be easy to set up and all that stuff, but nope, don't have it.
I really can't imagine the Switch going another year, or rather, I can't imagine Netflix going another year without putting it on the Switch. So I'd be shocked if we don't see it sometime this year, although I'm shocked we don't see it already. So, yeah, I really hope it happens. Wise Clay Official asks, do you guys think Labo is dead, or will we see more support in the future?
I don't know. I guess it's possible we could. Labo hasn't really caught on, though, and I do wonder if Nintendo had more projects, whether they've just cancelled them. I feel like we might see one more, but I don't think there's much of a future for Labo, though.
Yeah, that's sort of where I fall. Like, if they didn't get very far in the potential fourth kit, then I could see them just outright canceling it. If they made decent progress and were making, like, everything was just sort of out there, it's sort of like, well, why not? We'll throw this one out there and see if it actually catches fire, unlike the other ones. But maybe just one more and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think it's dead quite yet. I think it's close. I think there's a chance we'll get at least one more Labo kit, or maybe at least one more attempt at restarting the brand. I don't think it's dead because it wasn't that long ago when they announced a partnership with schools, so clearly Nintendo thinks there's some life left in it. And I think there's more they could do with it, whether it's, breaking up the variety kit into smaller, cheaper bundles that you buy individually, so if you just want the piano, you can pick that up. That way, maybe at a cost of $15 to $20. Or what else might be neat is what if they released a special, free Labo eShop version, where you can use existing cardboard to make some kind of contraptions that you can, that the software walks you through. Some kind of simple things that you can actually make yourself as a little teaser for what you can do with a proper kit. Perhaps, again, you could buy individually.
Maybe, but yeah. I'm also cynical as looking at the school thing as we got this extra stock, we might as well get rid of it somehow.
That's a good point too. And the thing is with Labo is it's expensive. Not just the actual Labo software and kit, but to buy a Switch as well. And I guess when you're just doing it in schools, you're kind of spreading Switch as an educational product, and maybe the value of that is just in school. And maybe the kids don't have to own the Switch for that. But that might cause them to go out and buy a Switch themselves, though.
That's true.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one because Labo isn't really anything we've seen before. It's untouched territory, really.
Yeah, I still think they should have released it during the holidays or something. I think they kind of squandered the release timing.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah. Hat Kid asks, which Nintendo sports title do you think is coming out this year? So we kind of touched on this already. I thought for sure there'd be some kind of Mario sports title, and I think, John, you brought up Mario Strikers, and I think I still agree with that. I think Mario Strikers is the most likely option for this.
Mario Strikers is a good choice. Honestly, I think Golf is more likely. But just because Next Level is very much likely already working on Luigi's Mansion 3, so I don't know if they have a team big enough to handle both Strikers and Luigi's Mansion. Granted, they could do a thing where somebody else handles the Strikers games, but I'm not sure. I also think if we do get a Strikers game, it might not be as hardcore as what we saw in previous games.
Oh, it better be.
If it's
I want more hardcore.
What's the point?
Yeah, exactly. That's what's so fun about it.
I know, but can you imagine Nintendo still allowing them to do that?
Yes. They were doing it during the Wii era when Nintendo went full in on being accessible.
True.
If I can't slam Daisy face first into electric fence, I'm not interested in this game.
I don't think you say anything better than that.
Yeah. I'd love a new Mario Strikers. I'm predicting a Mario Golf.
Yeah. I mean, I can work with Mario Golf. And you know what? Maybe it's just me. I actually would love if they went the Wii Sports route with it. Make it more accessible. My parents, I don't think they have any interest in playing Mario Golf using the standard, timing button presses. If you put in a Wii Golf-style swinging mode with the Joy-Cons, they'd be all over that, I think. Although it might be a little bit awkward at how short the Joy-Cons are, so maybe they need some kind of attachment or something. I don't know, but I think that would be the way to do it, so. Alright. Dual Gaming 4 asks, is Nintendo making a new Golden Sun game?
No. I think they might be remaking or porting the first one to 3DS, but I don't think they're making a new one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the better idea, is to remake it or port it or do something, maybe a collection, since, technically Golden Sun and The Lost Age are one complete story. It's broken up over 2 games. So maybe combining them all into one massive game, which would be pretty cool. but I can't see a brand new game yet, especially with how Dark Dawn kind of bombed.
Indeed.
Yeah, it would be cool though, because the Golden Sun series does have a big following, and Nintendo don't have too many first-party RPGs. So it'd be very cool to see them do this, and Camelot did have quite a good comeback with Mario Tennis Aces. So I'd love to see them do it, I just don't think they will.
I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yep.
Jacob asks, how do we not have WarioWare for Switch yet? The Joy-Cons are perfect for this type of game.
You're right, Jacob.
I'd love to see that. I'm not sure if they're going to put it out, if they would put it out this year, though, with WarioWare Gold so recent. But maybe.
He is right, though. Joy-Con are perfect for this game. You can have motion-controlled games, you can have standard button games, or you can play multiplayer anywhere. I think it'll make so much sense, and I really do hope it's coming. But as Derek said, Gold was last year, so it's probably a bit early for a new WarioWare. But it probably will come, just not in 2019.
What if WarioWare is how you save Labo? Like you add this cardboard, you can build your own crazy controller contraptions that only work with WarioWare. That could actually be pretty fun, I think. Or maybe you can
You're too desperate to save this thing. Let it die. Let it die, Andre. It's
fun.
dead.
I think it'd be cool. I like the idea of
You
like,
just
if
want to
they...
use for all the useless cardboard you have around your apartment.
Yeah, it's a big corner of cardboard. It's true. All right. Adam Roman asks, do you think we'll get Animal Crossing in the first or second half of 2019?
I want to say we'll get it early summer, but it's most likely coming probably around September time, I'd say.
See, I'm predicting either May or July.
Wow.
Okay.
Why not June?
I don't think they want to get it out there in the same time around E3. I think it might get lost in the shuffle. Not really because it's Animal Crossing, but give it as much attention as possible. May makes the most sense to me, honestly.
I do wonder if they'll give it a holiday slot though, because this is the kind of game that will do like gangbusters at Christmas. Like if they do it in October, like Let's Go, that would be a great time to launch it. Whereas a game like Metroid Prime 4, does that have to be a November title? Because I think the people who buy Metroid will buy it any time of year.
Yeah.
Whereas people who buy Animal Crossing, I think you kind of have to be a bit more strategic with that release.
Although it did release on the 3DS, I think, in May. Or somewhere
That's true.
around there.
Well, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe people will buy Animal Crossing anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may not matter, but I am kind of, I don't know, if I had to choose, like, I could see it coming out at any point. They could blow it out in January, have it come out by April, who knows. But I am kind of thinking it might come out later in the year than a lot of people are expecting. So, I don't know if it'll be a full-on holiday release, but I think it might come out closer to then than it has before. Except for the GameCube one. That was also a December release, as I recall. Oh. So, at least in North America. Well, speaking of Animal Crossing, Dark Empress Ally, I think, asks, do you think Animal Crossing on Switch will bring brand new features, or do you think it will copy the Wild World to City Folk transition with only a graphical upgrade and minor extensions?
I don't think they can do that. Wild World and City Folk were very close to each other when releasing. New Leaf was 6 years ago, and I think a lot of it will be iterative, because that's what Animal Crossing kind of is. But I think they're going to have something big, some kind of hook.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
We kind of covered this in our previous discussion, but I think online is really where it's going to kind of shine. It's like, touch up the single player a little bit, make it, look nice, do well, but I think having a sense of online community might be the best way forward for the game and get people interested and addicted to it. But I'm also not an Animal Crossing fan at all, so maybe I'm way off base.
No, I think you're right. New Leaf blew up. They just can't re-release the same game, which is going to be targeting a huge amount of the same player base. It has to be something new, something fresh, and something that really takes advantage of Nintendo Switch's online, without, at the same time, being dependent on it, just because of the Switch being a portable system, which, to me, is perhaps the biggest disappointment, is that it has to work offline constantly as well. But I do think they will lean heavier into the online than they have before, and I think that will hopefully be a big, I think that will be a big focus of it. In terms of other new features, man, I'm trying to think of what else they could do. I mentioned before, making it a little bit more goal-oriented. I don't know if they'll go that route, but I would love more features as mayor. Let you have more control of the town. Maybe have increase the amount of trade you can do with other towns as well, without having to physically go there, for instance. Maybe give you more business opportunities in the town. Maybe you can work at part-time in one of the stores, for instance. Get a part-time job.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It just came to me. I don't know if you guys saw that Agretzko series on Netflix, which basically takes Sanrio type characters. It's even from Sanrio, like the Hello Kitty guys, and puts them in this modern day like office drab setting, like day in day out ennui type thing, and applying that to the Animal Crossing characters. And like I don't know why, but that sense of ennui amongst the Animal Crossing cast would be hilarious and fun to me.
It would.
Savannah M asks, do you think Nintendo will release a new original game series in 2019, or are they just going to expand on existing IP?
Yeah, I think they will. This is another hard one to answer because we can't say, oh, I think they'll do this because it's a new IP.
Right, yeah.
But I guess they'll have to cover a new genre, and I think that genre might be a shooter. I mean, we have Splatoon in the shooter category at the moment, but I kind of feel like it's time for a different kind of Nintendo shooter, or maybe actually I'm going to say shooter. I'll say they'll do a shooter in 2019.
Oh wow.
I mean, we're already kind of getting a new IP. I'm not sure if it's owned by Nintendo directly, but they have been heavily advertising Daemon X Machina, so that technically counts.
Mm-hmm.
But as for another one, I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, it could be any number of things. Oh, man, this is tough. I mean, yeah, I think we probably will see some kind of new IP, maybe a smaller scale thing. You know, it's so hard to say. But I mean, I feel we know so little, I feel like, about the potential games that could be coming out this year. So, yeah, I would agree that there is a new IP coming in some form. What it could take, I really have no idea. A shooter would be interesting. Something a little bit different from Splatoon. I don't know if they'll go that route, but hey, we'll see. Maybe that's what Mario Kart Tour is. It's just a straight-up shooter now in go-karts. Alright, a completely unnecessary fan asks, do you think we'll see any new Zelda content in 2019? I'm personally hoping for that Link's Awakening remake I've heard rumors about in the style of A Link Between Worlds.
I love that idea, but I don't think we're going to get a Link's Awakening remake, but I do think we'll get a 2D Zelda. Mm-hmm. I just think Link's Awakening, while it's a great world, I just don't think they're going to go the same route as A Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds. So yeah, I think we're going to get a brand new world, and we kind of touched upon this in the last discussion too. But yeah, I think they're going to tap into the co-op side a bit, but maybe not make a fully co-op game. Like maybe have like a side option, where the two can interact in some way.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I don't really have much more to add, but yeah, I do think we'll get some sort of Zelda content. Definitely not the Breath of the Wild sequel, but a 2D Zelda or a lower budget Zelda I can totally see. Link's Awakening remake would be kind of awesome. Maybe that's our 3DS title.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think we'll get 2D Zelda, so for sure. Definitely no Breath of the Wild content, at least. I don't think we'll see any more DLC or any kind of sequel or even, any kind of expansions. I think that'll wait until next year, until 2020. So
yeah, I agreed with that.
Hinkery Dinkery asks, will we finally get Switch themes? That was a fun name to say, by the way.
I like your name.
So Switch themes, are they happening?
It's kind of depressing when you go onto the Switch's options and there's like a themes tab. And you go, oh boy, what's in here? And it just says light theme, dark theme. That is literally all you have.
Maybe that was a sneak preview of Metroid Prime 2 all this time. The Metroid Prime
Maybe.
trilogy.
Oh,
there you go. It's all being a tease. I do feel like we probably will get Switch themes. I hope so. I hope it's this year. It feels like the Switch is capable of it. I think people have even hacked their own ones on there through Homebrew. So yeah, I'll say yeah, we probably will get Switch themes this year.
I hope so. I don't know for sure, but I really do hope so, especially because it's gone this long. Maybe they were finding ways to keep have themes and not add to the low amount of power going to the home menu or something like that, so they can still have quick loading or that type of thing. I honestly, I'm sort of used to it at this point. It's like, all right, sure. I mean, great when we get it, but I'm like, all right, I've kind of given up hope. I do hope there's ways to organize my games though, because I have a lot of digital games, and a lot of times what do I have, and I'll look through and it's like, oh man, I wish I had these in alphabetical order or some sort of order that I can keep track of them better, but it's always from most recent played, which is, I don't know, bugs me.
It sucks. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Give us folders. Why does it take Nintendo so long to put folders on their menus? 3DS and Wii U took ages to add folders. I don't get it.
You think they'd learn?
So I'm going to go out there and say I don't think we'll get themes on the current Switch. Or rather, let me correct this. I think themes could happen this year, but not on the current Switch. I think it's something that they hold out for on the next Switch. I don't know about the homebrew scene, But we do know that Nintendo designed the Switch's OS to be incredibly low, to have incredibly small footprint, and I wonder they intend to keep it that way on the existing Switch, and may make it a feature of a Switch Pro or whatever the next Switch is, something that was built to handle it. With more detailed imagery, sound effects, music, whatever else, along the lines of the 3DS. So that would then keep the current Switch, super quick and responsive, while adding it for the Switch that has the hardware power to do so. But hey, John, if you said it works with Homebrew now, maybe that's not a matter at all. So.
Yeah, who knows?
Yep, indeed. Graveman asks, something Kid Icarus related released for the Switch, or at least something more Pit in 2019. So we're seeing anything Kid Icarus or Pit in 2019.
I think you'll hear Pit talk about the DLC characters for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I think that's all you're going to get.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
As much as I'd love to see another Kid Icarus game or something, with Sakurai busy, I don't see it happening.
Agreed. Mala64 asks, do you expect the third-party releases to come out much more often on the same day as other platforms?
Yes, I do. We're starting to see that with Crash, with Mortal Kombat 11, with Doom Eternal, and a bunch of other games. I think that's going to become much more common as we get farther into the system's lifespan.
And Sega are quite good at it too. Like Sega did Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces on the same day. So I feel like Sega are going to keep that up. And yeah, I guess it kind of depends on the publisher too, though. For some publishers, I think they're still going to treat Switch as a port house, and they'll do it like later on, not the same time as other platforms. But yeah, other publishers I think definitely will. And Bethesda, I think, will as well. Because we're seeing Doom Eternal coming to Switch. I think Wolfenstein will come to Switch the same day as other platforms too.
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah. I think we'll see. I think that'll be becoming increasingly common as developers have now realized the Switch is selling quite well and seems to really show no signs of slowing down to any substantial degree. So yeah, I also agree that will continue. Duck O Cornerio, I think, or something, asks, are Metroid Prime... Sorry if I butcher your names, by the way. I mean, no ill intent. Are Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3 2019 titles? So we already talked about Metroid Prime 4 a bit. So Bayonetta 3, is that happening in 2019?
I don't know. I want to say
hope so.
yes. Yeah, Kamiya has come out a few times saying that Platinum Games are working on multiple games this year, and 2019 is going to be a great year for them. So I feel like it will, but whether they've clearly got multiple projects coming out, so you could quite easily be talking about other games than Bayonetta 3.
That's true.
I'll say yeah though. Let's be optimistic here.
Yeah, by the end of the year, it'll have been 2 years since it was announced, even. So I'd be a little bit surprised if you don't see it this year, or if it isn't released this year.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see more. Whether or not it releases, I'm gonna say it's an early 2020 title.
Could be. Chris asks, do you think there will be any revisions for the Switch operating system? And if so, what do you think they'll be? Do you think we'll have new screensavers for the main menus? Also, thanks for everything. I've been a fan for years. Well, thank you for the question, Chris. So yeah, what do you guys think? I know you touched on folders already, but do you expect any other revisions to the Switch's OS that we don't already have?
I think we'll get a very simple messaging system. Just something maybe like Swap Note, where you can just sort of draw things, or just type very simple messages. But yeah, menu folder's my biggest want. Everything else is just kind of a nice extra. So messaging is kind of I think that's the next big thing I want.
I think the bigger thing they need to focus on, even beyond folders and organization for the main menu, is cleaning up the eShop. There is so much coming out on the eShop. There's that sale going on right now, and I was taking a look at some of the offers, and I was like, oh, right, I wanted to add a wish list of games I eventually want to play and just put it on my wish list, and I was like, oh, God, how do I find them? Because I couldn't remember them all, so I wanted to sort of browse, and there's so many games to sift through, and I don't know if there's a good way to organize it or what, but I feel like there has to be something better than what's there.
Yeah, if we're talking the eShop, I just want the ability to gift games. Let me gift games to people again.
The Wii could do it. The Wii of all platforms could do it.
Exactly! Man, when Nintendo's first eShops could do it, why not now? But getting back to the Switch's OS itself, I think organization is a huge problem on it. But I don't think folders is the answer. I think folders are clumsy, they're kind of annoying to deal with. If you missort them, good luck finding what folder you put that game in. What I want to see is filters. Like what we saw on the SNES and NES classics. Like, they have some great filters built in based on alphabetical order or publisher, game title, whether it's multiplayer, any number of things, and I think it'd be cool if you could add your own filters as well. So effectively make them act as folders if you want, but just in a more friendly interface. Yeah, so that's why I hope that's the angle they take. Just multiple ways of sorting the games rather than having to make you sort them yourselves.
I really like that idea. That's a good one.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. So yeah, hopefully that happens. As for any other changes, like I don't need much else. Like a simple messaging system, as John said, would be nice for the online. Yeah, like I'm pretty happy with the Switch OS as is. I don't need much more. Like even themes, like they'd be nice, but I don't need them. Especially because one of my favorite things about the Switch right now is whenever I needed to shut up when recording videos, I just hit home, and it makes no sound at all. I love that. Whereas on the Wii U, you know, I had to turn it down, but it had the music and everything. Or actually, no, the Wii U didn't have it either on the in-game home menu at least.
Not on the in-game home menu, yeah.
Right, but the actual
home menu.
That's right, yeah. All right, Stardust Chaos asks, will we ever find out what Switch's online special offers are?
Nope.
We will get Super Nintendo controllers this year.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think we will. I just don't know what they are and if I'll care about them. So, yeah, what a weird thing that whole thing's been. So, Alexis asks, with all the Nintendo games that have already been announced for 2019, do you think it has the potential to rival Nintendo's 2017 lineup?
I think it already is rivaling that lineup. Animal Crossing and Pokemon are huge. Fire Emblem's huge. Just those three there, they are big games. Some of the best-selling Nintendo properties they have. And then there's the unknowns. Like we don't know if Prime 4 is going to come this year, but that has the potential of rivaling those games. And yeah, we're in January right now, and we don't know what the rest of the year holds. But I think what we know right now is enough to rival 2017.
The quality is there, but I don't know if the quality is going to quite reach the same heights that Odyssey and Breath of the Wild did. Because as far as the quantity and quality of those titles, I think we're in really good shape that we definitely could, just having game after game after game be amazing. But I don't know if they'll quite reach those heights of just being a redefining of those games themselves. Like I don't think that'll be the case with Animal Crossing or Fire Emblem or maybe Pokemon has a chance. Well, that's the thing I'm curious about. But as far as like the amount of excellent looking games we're potentially getting in 2019, yeah, it does have a great chance.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with Derek here. I mean, it's hard to say for sure because we haven't seen much of or anything of most of these or some of these games. Like Animal Crossing also could totally, upend the tea table. We don't know for sure. I don't think it will. But Pokemon could. We don't really know at this point. But I think my gut reaction is this year, I think in terms of quantity, like on an overall basis, it probably will be 2017. Just in that it has more really good games. But I don't think we're going to see anything like as genre-defining as Breath of the Wild or even Mario Odyssey. On the other side, there's no 1-2 switch weighing it all down either, probably. So,
good point.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think it has a chance to at the very least get close. And depending on how you look at it, possibly even be 2017. Super Smash Dudes asks, character reveal for Smash at E3? I think absolutely. We will get a character at E3. Which one? I don't know.
Yeah,
agreed. I think it's almost locked in at this point. And what? Oh, actually, I guess we can't talk about the characters themselves, but I do feel like one of the characters won't be announced at Nintendo's show.
Okay.
That'd be wild.
At E3, so a Smash character announced at a press conference other than Nintendo's.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Respect.
Okay, then.
Let's see what happens. Kremlin Campaigner asks, what route do you want the next Donkey Kong to take? Would you like another 2D platformer, or is it time for the franchise to make the jump into 3D? And I guess to add on to that, will we see that in 2019?
Ooh, it's tough. I feel like Donkey Kong's tried to jump into 3D before, and he didn't do it right. But that doesn't mean they should. It's not a case of, oh, you tried, never do it again. I think they can try it again and just go a different route. But at the same time, Tropical Freeze was a delight, and I'd love for them to just do another 2D retro Donkey Kong. But yeah, I'd like to see them try 3D. Just don't try and be Donkey Kong 64 2. Try and be something new.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about them trying to become Donkey Kong 64 2. That's definitely not going to happen. I think I would still prefer 2D just because those levels are just so well crafted. But if it's not retro making it and they're going with a new studio, I think 3D might be the way to do it, or just reimagine Donkey Kong again in 3D and go from there. And I think there'd be a lot of fun ways to do that and still have the other Kongs in there helping and joining up with Donkey Kong in order to take on different challenges and whatnot. So maybe you're rescuing the Kongs, kind of like 64, but rather than being able to be fully playable, they're just helpful and to access new areas or something to that degree. I don't know. I think there's definitely a way to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we're most likely to see a 2D platformer, especially if it's coming out this year, which I think is possible. I mean, I don't think it's impossible that Retro hasn't been working on a sequel to, or has been working on a sequel to Tropical Freeze. So it's possible. I don't think it's likely. But again, if we were to see one, it would be 2D this year. Eventually, I would love to see them try 3D again. For whatever reason, when I was playing Mario Odyssey in New Donk City, it reminded me so much of like how a Donkey Kong game could feel. I think in a 3D setting with you, like, you know, maybe the idea of like jumping between buildings reminded me of climbing up trees, or, you know, any number of things that Kongs excel at. And I would love to see them explore that concept. Like I could almost imagine like using vines in a way similar to how Spider-Man swings through the city. Like, how fun would that be? Just swinging through vines. And yeah, so I think Donkey Kong could absolutely work in 3D if they, you know, took the time to figure it out and not go the collectathon route that Donkey Kong 64 did.
If it is 2D, I want them to do something different. Because Returns just kind of had, like, you know, it had the jungle aesthetics and the ruins, and Tropical Freeze had all these different islands. So, like, what if we just put Donkey Kong in space? Like, if that's the premise of the thing.
You always go back to that. I don't know what is with you in space. I mean, I'll take it. And he's already gone to the moon and punched it into the planet before. So, what if that's his goal? He has to like go to every planet and just punch it back into the Earth for whatever reason to beat each boss. Yeah, I'd be down. I mean, I love Mario Odyssey or Mario Galaxy, so it'd be fun to see if they could make that work in 2D with Donkey Kong, perhaps.
Planet Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that question, or that answer, John, Hey It's Lazy asks, what crazy stuff could Nintendo pull during E3?
Planet Donkey Kong.
There we go.
Yeah, that's another good question. There's a lot of stuff they can do. I think a lot of the stuff we said over this discussion could happen.
Could fit. Yeah.
I feel like a Mario Odyssey sequel could happen. Is that crazy though? Was that kind of an expectation?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to think of what crazy stuff they could do. I do feel like that we'll get another Pikmin game. I don't feel like that's crazy either. That's kind of an expectation at this point as well.
I got one for you. Speaking of 2D Donkey Kong, what if and going even further back to our previous question, what if our crazy crossover involving Ubisoft involves a new Donkey Kong game in the same vein as the Rayman series? Like with that art style and goes crazy levels and that sort of interesting fast-paced style or something similar to it. I think that'd be really interesting.
They could do that. They could pull it off really well, I think. I like that idea a lot, yeah.
I mean, some of those musical levels already remind me of Wingding from Tropical Freeze, so...
Right, and like, even Rayman Origins has some of those silhouette levels that Returns made famous.
That's true.
There's clearly inspiration in there. And they can make like all the Kongs playable as well, because Rayman Legends has a huge amount of playable characters you can choose from, and it'd be cool just to like dive into the weird Kong history and get like all those weird like manual Kongs in there, and not Kiddy Kong. Like everyone else though can just be present in this.
Just be in the background cheering you on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's always fun to imagine like what Nintendo could do. So, I think the craziest thing would be some kind of like Microsoft crossover, like in Smash Brothers, whether it's, you know, Master Chief or Banjo. We've touched on this before. Like, that'd be nuts. Or even Steve as well, of course.
Yeah.
So I think that would be kind of like the wild thing, is seeing that kind of, seeing two major console competitors working together in some way on that level.
The Halo trilogy on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, can you imagine?
Oh, well, you're all right, Derek. You're getting ahead of ourselves here, so this might be a good segue into our next little section here. Still questions, but this will be more of a lightning round, I think. Because I had a bunch of questions about potential ports for the Switch, so let's just go through these real quick. Lancelot asks, Kingdom Hearts 3, is that coming to Switch?
No, I think it's
the collections.
I think the collections, yes, but 3,
no,
not really.
Well, I don't know, actually. Dragon Quest XI is coming to Switch.
Yeah, but I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is a bit more insane with its graphics than 11.
It is.
Like 11
Yeah.
still has a style to it.
I do wonder if they can just scale down all those effects and bring it to Switch. I don't think it's impossible, but I do feel like it's unlikely though.
Yeah,
Maybe a Switch Pro type situation?
maybe. But I do think it's a little odd we haven't gotten the Kingdom Hearts collections on there, because I think that would make a lot of sense.
Agreed.
All right. Jeff or Ashley is asking, I think we already kind of touched on this, but Wonderful 101 or Xenoblade Chronicles X, could either appear on Switch?
I think both could appear on Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a decent chance. I don't know about this year, but they both have a decent chance.
I'll make the prediction of Wonderful 101 will not get a retail release though. I think that'll just be digital, unfortunately, for that game.
Yeah, I'd agree.
That might make sense, I suppose. Big the Loaf is wondering about No More Heroes 1 and 2 ports on Switch.
Yeah, I think so. It sounds like Suda wants to as well, so it's very possible.
I think it depends on how No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again performs.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of writing on that game.
Yeah, it seems there is. Yeah, the third one, possibly 1 and 2. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm very curious to see what ends up happening there. All right, Rad Dude asks, Skyward Sword Remastered on Switch. And what about Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD? Which we already got touched on a little bit. But what do you think the odds of all three of those happening are?
All three, unlikely. I think they all will come to Switch, but not this year. I do feel like Skyward Sword is probably the most likely of the bunch, though.
Yeah, I could see that. If they're bringing New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe to the Switch, I can totally see them doing the same for Skyward Sword. Even though we've evolved the formula at this point, we can still remaster and re-release the previous games in that series, and I think Skyward Sword is a prime candidate, especially with the Joy-Con controllers.
And I think it's only 3D Zelda they haven't remade.
Yeah.
Right, it is, yeah. I think the hopeful person would say, like, why don't they just bundle them all in a trilogy? And I think that would be cool, but I don't think they will.
I'll at least take a
organized
double pack
independently.
of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
No, that's not happening either.
No, full price for all of these.
Exactly. Probably.
Maybe 40 if we're lucky.
Yeah, I do think Skyward Sword Remastered is definitely going to happen. Whether it's this year, yeah, why not? I'll go this year. It's happening this year.
Sure.
Sure. Yep. All right. Idolites asks, Mother 3.
No.
Yeah, it's probably no, yeah.
I
I'm
wish.
gonna say no. At this point, I don't think there's. I think the reason they're avoiding it is just for reasons pertinent to the content of the game, and there's really no way that they can. Like, it's just opening a can of worms. I think, no matter what they do with that content. So, yeah, I don't see it happening.
It's probably more likely they'll make Mother 4 before bringing Mother 3.
I think you're right. Aquatoad is asking about a new or remastered Endless Ocean.
That'd be cool, but I don't think so, no.
Yeah, pretty much the same opinion. It's like, hey, that's bringing back another series. I hear people really like it. It's really relaxing, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, nor I. Okay, Gret has more of a statement than a question, and they say, I would like to see the Lost Vikings come to the eShop. And you know what, Gret? I would too.
I've never played it, but it's Blizzard, so with Diablo in the system, why not?
Yeah, it's possible. I would also like to see it, Grant, but I do feel like it probably won't happen.
Yeah,
but I do
probably
feel like
not.
more Blizzard games probably will come to Switch, though.
StarCraft 64.
Finally time.
Zach at Galactic Assault asks, what are the chances of a Halo game coming to Switch?
100%.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, it feels
It's
more
not.
likely now than ever, right?
I mean, it has a chance. Maybe. I mean, Microsoft already ports all of its first-party stuff to the PC anyway, so why not the Switch if they're that buddy-buddy? But honestly, that seems pretty out there. I'm not sure if I want to go actually die on that hill.
It is out there, right? But Super Lucky's Tale is currently rumored to be coming to Switch, and that's a Microsoft-owned IP.
Yeah, there's a difference between Lucky and Master Chief.
Yeah, of
though.
course there is. Of course there is, yeah. But I don't know. I feel like now is more likely than ever, but obviously it's still very low chances. But I feel like it's more likely now than it's ever been possible for Halo to come to Switch.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think you just said it quite well. Unlikely, but if there were a time, it'd be, now. So, or during this era. All right, and we have just a couple of final questions to wrap things up here. Ukulele Pichu64 asks, will we get new Super 3DS XL? In other words, will Nintendo announce another model of the 3DS for some reason?
Probably.
Oh, you actually think? I don't think so. I think it's done.
What if they made a 3D 2DS?
A 3D 2DS.
One thing they haven't done is a 3DS Mini.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Can
that's a
you
2DS.
though? Like, yeah, can you really? I mean, how would you even? Like,
I
it's
don't
already
know.
about as small as you can make it at the original, at least, without
Yeah.
compromising the game. So
Unless like the
I don't
second
know.
screen like slides out from the bottom or something.
There you go.
that's true. That'd be something. Man, I don't know. With Nintendo, I could see it going either way. Like, I don't know what else they could do though. It seems like they've pretty much tapped every possible form factor of that system, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I thought that too, and then they did the new 2DS XL.
Good point. You're right. So I'm going to say no, though. I think if I had to go, if I had to choose, I'm going to say no. I don't think we'll see another 3DS or 2DS this year.
Yeah.
But putting aside like limited editions.
Yeah, even with Nintendo, that probably is the logical answer. They probably will not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, here's one that's a little bit different. John Lucina asks, with a Switch's success, I feel as though it correlated with GameXplain's growth, and he says, 1 million congrats. So I ask, how do you expect Nintendo to capitalize on their success, or what do you think they should do? And how will GameXplain continue to grow? John's been great. Will Tom leave the GX dungeon?
No,
Tom's never leaving the GX dungeon.
He's too busy making thumbnails.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, quite a lot to unpack there. So yeah, I guess we kind of touched on a lot of this in the 2019 discussion, but yeah, I guess do we expect Nintendo to continue to capitalize on their newfound momentum, or do we think they might squander it? And how will GameXplain continue to grow based on that?
I mean, looking at the lineup we have, I think they're going to capitalize on it. I really do.
Yeah. I feel like last year, there may have been a narrative that Nintendo's momentum was slowing down, but if you look at software sales, it doesn't seem like that was really the case. As Derek said, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was still selling incredibly well in 2018. So yeah, their first-party output slowed down, but they have so many evergreen titles that just keep selling. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Splatoon 2 and Breath of the Wild. They're going to keep selling through the entire generation. And I think they're kind of building a foundation of evergreen titles. Animal Crossing and Pokemon are evergreen as well. So yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna not capitalize on that, and it's just gonna keep growing, and we're gonna keep growing with it because we're gonna be covering all these titles.
Yeah.
That's it.
Somehow we grew during the Wii U era, so...
Because no one else was covering it.
We grew when there was no sun, and now the sun is beaming.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. No, I think you said it well, John. I think Nintendo's biggest problem before has always been like just maintaining a consistent release schedule. And even in 2018, where some people found a little bit weaker, at least in terms of new titles, I still think Nintendo did a respectable job. We never had any of those like gaping or any of those like massive gaps that we had on past consoles, such as we saw on the Wii U or even to some extent the Wii era, and especially on the 64. I think Nintendo's done a pretty solid job of keeping games coming out, and of course it's not just on them now. Like we have third parties and indie games as well that's done a great job of providing a ton of content to play. And it seems from a first party perspective, Nintendo seems to really be ramping up in 2019 with just with what appears to be at least a game a month, if not possibly more, by the time we know what all's coming out. So yeah, I think Nintendo's doing a great job capitalizing and maintaining their momentum, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Now, whether that'll hold for 2020, it's impossible to say at this point. But it seems like Nintendo has learned a lot of lessons, and it seems like they finally maybe figured it out. So, yeah, here's hoping that continues, as well as our growth. And it's all, of course, thanks to all of you for watching. So thank you so much for keeping up with our content and submitting the questions for this discussion. And with that, I think we're at the end here. So thanks for watching. Of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on the Switch throughout the year. I think we're finally done covering our predictions for 2019. So now it's time to cover it for real.
Now the actual work begins. Crap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fun time's over. Now the work starts. And boy, do we have a lot of work already planned. So stay tuned for that. And with that, we'll catch you later throughout the year. See you guys. Bye.